So I think you're going to absolutely love our next guest. He's somebody that I look up to as an amazing speaker. So I'm very excited to welcome Ovidilio Vasquez, who is one of the most sought after Hispanic migrant ELL youth speakers in our country. He is just a fascinating person for me, because I could relate coming to the US not knowing English. And he was able to go from a Central American farm boy on the sugarcane fields. By the way, I love sugarcane. But how you were able to just rise to such amazing heights. You're an author of 5 books. You're speaking all over the country. So thank you so much, Ovidilio, for coming here.
It is my pleasure, Lean. I definitely appreciate your introduction. Definitely look up to you for all the things you're doing. You're killing it. You're pretty badass, I must say. And to expand more on my story, right? I'm just a farm boy from the sugarcane fields of Guatemala. And for the people who are listening to these or watching this, I always ask them if you can hear my accent, say I, and people say, yeah, I can hear it, And then I let them know that I may speak with an accent, but I don't think with an accent. And the winning side of that is that a lot of ladies think and sexy. So it's the winning side of it.
It is, yeah.
We go to a lot of struggles during our early life sometimes, and my struggles were somewhat like this. Someone killed my father at 6 months old. And I noticed that when I went to the grave after I was already a teenager, and I had to count the numbers like, that means I was 6 months old when they killed him. And raised by a single mom. My mom had some nervous problems. So when my mom would get angry and start beating you, she would beat you almost to death. It was crazy. I survived. And we didn't have electricity till the year 2000, where I'm from in Guatemala. By the way, when I began learning English, I used to say, hi, my name is Ovidilio. I'm from Watermelon. And people would say, where's that? I said, you don't know Watermelon? It's next to Mexico, Now I know the difference.
Wow.
And so in Guatemala, that was kind of the type of life I had, in the sugarcane fields, working in the mango, harvesting banana, planting bananas, corn, beans, and just in Spanish we call it a campesino, the farmer. So that was the life I had then. And unless you have any questions at this point of the story, I would love to answer.
Yeah. So what was it like growing up there? Because now you work for a tech company, you're a speaker. It's seems like a night and day. So how did you feel, growing up, single mother, you had to basically go through that. What was just the experience like?
Okie dokie. All right. From my mom, I learned persistence. She came to the US several times, undocumented, so she crossed the desert several times. And I thought to myself, if she can do that, then I can do that too. I decided to come to the US when my mom asked me to come in 2006. And I knew that I was going to have to cross the desert, and you never know whether you're going to make it through or not. You just know that you're going to go through it. Fast forward 2 years later, after working in this warehouse without having to go to high school, even though I was a teenager, because my mom said, our plan is you're going to come here, you're going to work, we're going to build a house in Guatemala and go back. There was no goal of, like most parents, they want you to go to school, they want you to speak English, they want you to go to college. That was not my mom. If I would have not convinced her to let me go to school to learn English, I would have not been able to work at Tesla, at Apple, at Uber, at Salesforce, and now I work at Cruise Automation. And even though I published 5 books and have my own company, that my company is called Speak Performance International, LLC. Most people think that having a company is having to have your own building, your own huge office, and things like that. But here in the US, it's very different. As an immigrant, you can start a company just by having your ITIN number, which is your taxpayer ID, and just paying your. I spent $362 to start my company, and the company literally is just a folder full of papers, and there's your company, and that allowed me to begin to ask to get paid for my speeches. Now, I skipped a few steps as far as to how I went from undocumented to documented, but undocumented until the year 2014. One time I was pulled over at 3 a.m. in the morning while I was still in high school, coming from work, and police asked me for a driver license, so I couldn't produce one, right? So I don't have one. And he said, sorry, I'm going to have to take your car. So here I am, 17 years old, pulling out my backpack from the car, pulling out my books on the side of the road, and watching my car get towed. That's something that happened to me, and I had to work in several jobs. I worked in construction. I hated working in construction. I don't mind working hard, but I just don't like construction. And I knew that I was not meant to do that. My family's belief was, if you work in construction, in 3 years, you can make $40 an hour. And that was the main idea. I said, no, Uncle, I hate it here. So I'm quitting. And I'm not a quitter, but anything I don't like, I will quit right away. That's why they say when you start a business, you have to love it so you don't quit. Yeah. And I worked in outdoor sales. I used to sell wax for cars. And then I learned the law of averages. You got to talk to 10 people, so maybe one will buy. Talk to 30, so maybe 2 will buy. So on and so forth. I did that job for quite a while. I worked at a pizzeria because a lot of people now see me well-dressed, well-spoken, and good-looking, and they think, no hard times, but definitely hard times. I worked in the pizzeria. I loved it. That job was super fun because it was full of college students, and everyone just having fun there. They didn't really care about what was going on. I worked in this warehouse where my mom put me to work before high school, and I worked throughout my high school in that warehouse during the nighttime. Worked there for about 5 years. I also worked driving trucks from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. so I could be able to support myself during the day. Until now we get to the 2014 when I received my documents through DACA. And DACA allows you work permits, which allows you to work and travel within the U.S., for those who don't know. But it doesn't allow you to go outside the U.S. unless you have a special permission that does not guarantee you your entry back into the country. That's when I went to work for Apple as a computer technician, and I have not graduated college. I barely have, I think, 32 credits, which is not even halfway through associate's degree, somewhere around there. Then I began working for Tesla as a robot technician, and I hated my supervisor. So that's why I don't mind working, but I don't like getting bossed around. So I was getting bossed around, so I quit the job. And right after I did that, I decided to go to expand my knowledge on technical skills. So I went to San Francisco to study every day, 8 to 3:30, Monday through Friday, project coordination. And after that, I interned in Salesforce. And after Salesforce, I was there for 6 months. But my main goal has not been to have a job, because a lot of people say job, it only means just over broke. So I said, I'm going to do 6 months at Salesforce, and I'm going to package myself, the personal brand. Farm boy from the sugarcane fields of Guatemala works at a Fortune 500 company. How did he do it? And my plan was to go to schools and give a lot of speeches and get paid for that. However, when I finished my 6 months there, it was on January. So the schools had already closed their contracts for the school year. So they didn't have any money left over to pay me to speak. That was bad timing, but I learned. And so I said, okay, I need to go back to get another job. So I went to Uber. And the funny thing is that when I would tell people that I worked at Uber, they would think that I would drive the car around and drop people off here and there, which seems like a cool job too. But I was working on the self-driving technology, and it was fantastic. So very mind-blowing, very exciting, and very scary at the same time, because you never know what the car is going to do. And 3 months later, this is how you know that job is never secure, no matter how huge the company is, no matter how good you're performing. I was performing. The company is huge, still has lots of money. However, they decided to move operations to Arizona, and they said, you can move with us, or we just give you 3 months of severance pay. 3 weeks of severance pay, and you're done. And yeah, I'm not gonna leave California. There's no weather like California for me. So I decided to stay without a job. So I said, what should I do now? I have money. I don't like jobs. Maybe I should start something new. So I co-founded a company with my friend. It's called Vogue Marketing. And we specialized on making websites for Hispanic-owned businesses. And then we found the challenges, right? So being an immigrant CEO, it's not all flowers and, butterflies and fireworks. No. Found the challenge that since many Hispanic business owners don't understand technology, they want to pay you $500 for a website. It's like, you must be kidding. And they don't understand really the value of those things. They don't understand the value of digital marketing. They just, because they are used to just doing face-to-face interaction. And so we found that as a challenge, and I said, okay, all right, this is not really working. I don't really love it. I'm going to go get another job. So then I began working at Cruise Automation, and I've been working there for the last 3 months. And this Cruise Automation is also about autonomous technology. And I have been getting calls from Google, their Waymo company, from Nero. There's another Mountain View company here in California, and Nuro is called Nuro. There's another company called Zoox. They have been offering me $70,000 salary to go work with them on their autonomous cars, but it's too far away from me, so I'm not willing to do it. And that's in a nutshell what has been my regular pathway. My irregular pathway, my immigrant CEO pathway, would be 2014. I decided international. Someone tells me you need to write a book, and I said, I don't know if I can write a book because English is not my first language, and I'm not really good at writing. So they say you are depriving your audience by not having a book, because when you speak, they would love to take you with them, but they can't. So with a book, they'll take you with them and have that as a reminder, even if they don't read the book. I said, you know what, that makes sense. So 6 months later, I published my first book. You gotta get on there. And I went from charging $250 per speech for 1 hour to charging $2,000 because I Googled how much should I charge if I already publish a book. And it was like, published authors charge $2,500 to $10,000 and above, depending on where you are in your track record professionally. So I said, okay, I'm just starting out, so I'm not going to charge $2,500. I'll charge $2,000. And it worked well for some schools. Some schools had the money. Some schools didn't hire me because this is what an immigrant CEO realizes, that has to face a lot of rejections in order to get to the yes, right? Every no means next opportunity. So 7 out of 10 schools will not hire me to speak. And the main reason is because I don't have a college degree. However, I tried to overturn that rejection. in the sales process, you have to overturn those negatives. So I tell them, you mean to tell me you would rather hire someone with 4 years of theory knowledge than someone with 4 years of practical real world experience knowledge, who has sat down with executives at Salesforce, who has sat down with alongside engineering at Uber, who has worked alongside computer geniuses at Apple, versus the other guys, But the school system is very, very much like, just like their eyesight is so down, so narrow, that they don't see, you can't see outside. That's when they say like school ruins your creativity. They are so focused like this, and they don't think like this guy can actually give real world value to my students of what's actually working and what's actually not working, what they are looking for, because I bring in insight from the inside the company, not from outside. However, some schools do see that, and then they say, we'd love to have you speak. Can you talk about your immigrant story? Can you talk about your professional story? Can you talk about how you started a company? And so depending on what they ask me, that's how I speak. And depending if they just want me to do a keynote, if they just want me to do a workshop, if they just want me to do a regular presentation, then that's how much I would charge, depending on the venue, depending on the school, depending on the place, depending on what their expectations are. So I work at planning for them. And sometimes they don't have money for speakers, but they want me to speak. So as a salesperson, you have to find out a way to sell them something. I say, hey, look, why don't you, I say, how many audience members will you have? So they say, for example, 200 people. I said, okay. I say, why don't you just order 200 of my books and I'll speak for free? And they say, we don't have that kind of money, because I sell my books for $20 each. And they said, we don't have that kind of money. I said, you cannot order just 50 books, because then the other 150 people will feel bad that only 50 people took a book with them. And somehow I always make it work with them. The book, it only cost me $3, and I price it at $20. So my margin is huge, to the point where if I want to slide it in half so I can make the deal happen, I'll make it happen for them, And then I always do it in a way where I'll give you a 50% discount if you can recommend a few other schools, blah, blah, blah. So that doesn't seem like I was asking for, let's say, $5,000 and all of this other, and I'm doing it for $2,500. It will make them feel like I was ripping them off a few minutes ago, right? So I always try to make it seem like, okay, it's a trade-off. I'll give you this much discount, but I need this type of guarantee from you that you will pass my name along and things like that. And that's how come I work my deals with schools. And it's been great in the matter of my fulfilling my dream. There's nothing else I love most professionally than public speaking. Nothing. But I don't know if you have any questions that may have emerged from this.
And you're such a good storyteller. I think I just want to let you, tell the story. You're making it really easy, so I love that. But I have so many questions. Like you said, you skipped over a few things. I think you skipped over a bunch of so many interesting things I want to know. And some questions maybe I'll ask you after the interview. But like for for this audience, I'm just fascinated that you did not know English and now you're a public speaker. And that span of time isn't even that long if you consider how long since you came here, because I would have been terrified, like the thing that I want to do is okay, I'll learn English, but just please let me avoid speaking. So like, how did you go from, and what was the English learning process like for you? Because what was that process like? How did you decide to, build multiple companies? I'm just so curious to hear your take on this.
Okay. That's an awesome question that requires a lot for people to learn. That's a good question. Okay, let me take it in pieces. The learning English part of it. 2008 March, I went my first day to school. Didn't speak English, nothing. And I didn't go to school to make friends, to be cool, to play sports, no extracurricular activities. I went there not to graduate, I just went there to learn English. So I already had that focus. I want to learn English. They would have immigrant students immigrant teachers teach us English. So they also had an accent. So it was hard for me to understand. I was like, this professor I remember he was from Africa, and he had this very thick French accent. And it was like, oh my goodness, because in his place, he spoke French as a first language and then English as a second language. Tough to understand the guy. But gladly, it's only for 6 months that I have the same teacher. Then it changes. And I decided, okay, I'm not going to get together with the Latino people. I'm going to get together with Chinese, Afghanistan, Vietnamese, everyone else but Hispanics. I did not go to school to make friends. And some people saw that in the wrong way. Some other Latinos like, oh, this dude, how come, what do you mean, what do you mean you won't hang out with us? I already had that mindset that you have to keeping the main thing. Put your own priorities first at the moment that you need to. So I tried as much as possible to speak with my Indian friends and just spell some of their names, and I would help them avoid getting bullied by some Mexican guys who were gangsters, And I was like, what's up, bro? You're not going to tell them anything, because, I was just like, I used to go to martial arts then. So I was very, very confident that this guy is not going to beat me up. And the main reason I went to martial arts then was because I was getting bullied at work, because I was the youngest guy at work, and this guy was bullying me, and I got tired of it. So I said, I'm going to go to martial art and then kick his ass. And so one day, I got fed up, and I told him, straight up, all right, let's get to it right now. So he knew that I had already been in martial arts for at least 6 months. So he says, no, man, I was just kidding. I said, you mean just kidding? I did not take us just kidding. So that's what happened. But hanging out with all my other immigrant friends from different countries that didn't speak Spanish truly helped me go that extra mile to be able to understand them, because I care a lot about people. So I really, really did try to understand whatever they were trying to tell me about their lives and things like that, because immigrants get together and then we tell each other about each other's culture. And then someone said, you know what the fastest way to learn English is? I said, what is it? I said, you gotta get an American girlfriend. Yeah. I said, okay, no problem. Since I was working in this warehouse every night, huge boxes, guitar center boxes, so it was like huge speakers and things like that. I was very built. I had a six-pack. I was in martial arts, so I was exercising every day. It was easy for me to get an American girlfriend. It was like next week I already had one. And I remember she had a tall brother. And everyone was like, dude, you're not scared of her brother? I said, why? It's not going to be for him. And she used to try to teach me as much as possible, began going out with her. And sadly, they moved her for another city. And so we didn't see each other anymore. And the other thing, I would always ask my teachers, what else can I do to learn English? So they say, stop all the Spanish TV. Stop all the Spanish music. Only English from now on. TV, music, everything you consume. Read the signs that are in English, not Spanish one. You already know Spanish. So I shifted my focus from everything Spanish to everything English. And that's how in 3 years, it takes people usually 4 years to graduate high school, but it only took me 3 years to graduate high school. And in Guatemala, I had only been to 6th grade, only. When I came to the US, there was a new law. It was called No Child Left Behind for the school system. Because I was already 17 years old, they already put me on 11th grade. I never went to 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th in my whole life. So I skipped all that algebra and all that stuff. I never did it. And And when they said, Ovi, you should take an extra year of high school, because I was in 11th grade and 12th grade, they said you got to take one extra year to accumulate the credits you need. So I accumulated that, and I was able to graduate. Within 2 years, I was no longer considered English learner anymore, even though I had accent. But since I love to talk so much, I was just going through the levels like nothing. So that was the main thing. I just shifted my focus, everything Spanish to everything English. And that girlfriend really helped a lot. I was motivated and was more motivated than ever. She was beautiful. That's what happened for my learning English curve. And then you asked me about the companies, right? In 2011, I graduated high school. In 2012, I was recruited into an MLM company. It was Amway. And they just worked my mind like, job is not for you. You got to work for yourself. You got to network. You got to listen to CDs. You got to read books. You got to do it. So I was like, it was a new me, brand new me. I was recruited by an Indian scientist. And in my mind, I was not thinking I'm going to grow my Amway business. In my mind, I was thinking I'm hanging out with the scientist. That's all that was in my mind. I would go to his house, nice car. His wife was really nice with us, give us food and stuff like that. That was my only mindset. But subconsciously, it was getting to me. Job is not for you. You have to work for yourself. You have to have your own enterprise. And you have to work as an entrepreneur, because they introduced me to Robert Kiyosaki and all those books, Tony Robbins, Donald Trump, all of them. So I was like, okay, I was in the path. A year and a half later, I decided to stop Amway. It wasn't working for me. I decided to stop Amway. So it was already 2013, nearly 2014. In November 2013, that's when I sent in my papers to Sacramento to get my first company, Speak Performance International. And that's how I started the first company, $362. Since I was undocumented, illegal person, they call it, I had to Google, can someone start a company without a social security number? And it was like, yeah, as long as you have an IT number, the taxpayer ID, you can do it. I was like, okay, I have one, because I had always been paying my taxes, because my family told me, you have to pay your taxes from the beginning. So one day when you apply to get papers, they're going to ask you for taxes. And that's the most important thing, they told me. So I never missed a year. I paid my taxes since I came here. And so I got my paperwork for my company and started to reaching out to schools. And that's how come I began to get paid to speak. Let me tell you about the very first paid speaking engagement. I would go to schools, right? Speak to students to practice first, because they say speak for free and then for a fee. One day I received a call. They say, hi, is this Ovidilio? I said, yeah, this is Ovidilio. They said, are you the motivator? And I said, yeah, I guess so. He says, can you please come to our school and give a speech to this group of parents? I said, no, I'm sorry. I don't speak to parents. And she said, please, we really need a presenter in Spanish. And I said, how do you find out about me? And she said, some mom came to my school, told me that you went to her other son's school and that you gave a speech and his son liked what you said. I said, yes, because I talk to youth, but I don't talk to parents. The long story short is that she sold me on the idea that I had to go give that presentation to the parents because they needed me. I said, sure enough, I'm going to go give a presentation and I'm going to name it How to Raise Positive Kids in a Negative World. It was based on Zig Ziglar's book, Raising Positive Kids in a Negative World. I studied Zig Ziglar's program. I studied Brian Tracy's book, Raising Super Kids. and I studied Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Parent Soul. I studied those three together and put together a workshop. It went phenomenal. They loved it. And I was blown away by my own performance. I said, what the heck? They actually love this thing. Yeah, and I'm not even a parent. Because I started from the get-go. I said, I'm going to give this presentation to you, but I want to let you know I'm not a parent. I don't have any kids, never been a parent. I may share with you some of the things my mom did by raising me. But here's where I got the information from. These people have successfully raised their kids, and this information is not available in Spanish. So I am the bridge to bring you this information that you may not have access to because you don't speak English, most of you, I said. And so they understood from the get-go, okay, he's going to share information on parenting, but he already explained that he's sharing from other parents, not from his perspective, right? So I told my story and everything, and they were blown away. These parents took my flyers, and because parents have kids in different schools, because kids of different age, they started to spread the word. And then all of a sudden, hey, are you Ovidilio Vasquez? Yes. And they same story. Can you come talk to our parents here? I said, I don't really talk to parents. I did this presentation for this other school. They loved it. But that's not really what I focus on, right? Because I was keeping the main thing, youth, immigrant students. And she says, but they said that it was great. I mean, don't you think you can just come and do it? And so it didn't take her much to convince me. And she says, how much do you charge them? I said, I charge them $250. And she says, if you come to our school, we'll give you $500. I said, when did you say you want me to come? That's how I began speaking then. And then, as I shared with you earlier, after my Uber employment, I decided to co-found a company with my other friend, because my friend, he is a computer technician who works on its own, just doing jobs here and there. So I told him, hey, I know about digital marketing. I have a few softwares that can help you do this other stuff. So we combine our knowledge together. So when I would be at work, he would be working on the business. And then when I would come from work, I would work on the other strategy. As of right now, I don't focus on publishing anymore, but I just closed a $10,000 deal last week because this lady really wanted to publish a book about her story. And I said, I don't publish books for people anymore, but I mean, if you insist.
What's this pattern?
If you insist, why not? And from that deal, I'm going to spend about $3,500, and I'm going to keep about $6,500 just for managing the project, which should take me maximum 2 months. But from my time, it will probably take me, if I put it all the time together, it'll probably take me a week. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing this, because I think one of our first interactions was, why are you writing? Because you're a young, handsome guy, and then I was like, you're writing a book on parenting, and I was like trying to ask you, well, I finally got that backstory. But still, like, you have lived so many lifetimes in just such a short time span, and I'm just so curious. Like, you talked about how you just went in, you were super focused, able to do everything. Did you have anybody, because you had so many, how do I say this? Like, times where you could have said no, you could have, backed down, you could have just went the easy way out, but you literally accomplished all the goals that you set forth to do. So did you ever face any outside, and I'm sure you did, I'm just asking this question.
Yes.
Did you face anybody saying, Ovidilio, why are you doing this? Or like people like, haters, or like, did anything ever stop you? And how do you deal with those criticisms?
That's an awesome question too, because everybody needs to know the dark side, right? As I mentioned earlier in the story, my family's plan was to have me work and not to go to school. So I would go to my family's get together on the weekends, and they would be drinking, and I don't drink or smoke. So I would be the only one who would not drink, and they will pass the bottle around like, all right, now you, yeah. And I'm the only one really who dresses with a suit or a blazer on. My family, they just, just like a t-shirt and stuff like that, tennis shoes, stuff like that. But I like to dress like a business person, because you dress to impress, you dress for success, and you dress for access. And my family would tell me sometimes, like, it's gonna take they say it's gonna take you like 3 years to learn English. Yeah, don't be stupid, man. Just work in construction and make the $40 an hour in 3 years, and in 6 years you could be making 50, and then you can be making more. And if you sometime get your papers, you can work in union and you can make $80 an hour, and you will be set. Some of the conversation went along. In 2009, my grandma passed away in Guatemala. So my mom decided to go to Guatemala and leave me here. And I still had 2 more years to go to finish high school. So I was really tired because I would come home, try to make something to eat. My schedule was like this: be at school at 8, get off at 3:30, be at work at 7 p.m., and get off at 2 a.m., and then repeat it over and over daily. My last year of high school, they offer free college classes after school. So I would enter school at 8 a.m., get off at 3:30 p.m., wait for the free college course from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., and then go to work, be there at 7, and then get off work at 2 a.m. And I did that for my last year of high school. But in 2009, when my grandma died, it really hit me hard, because my grandma raised me when my mom came to the U.S. I was only 8 years old then. And I wanted to drop out of high school. I went to talk to my counselor. And I say, my last name is Vásquez, and my counselor last name is also Vásquez. I was like, Miss Vásquez, I can't do this. I explained to her, I'm tired. I just come to school and I'm always sleepy. And I say, I'm trying to pay my rent, keep up with these things. Because when my mom left, my mom never worked in Guatemala at a job. So I have to always send her money. And I say, I'm getting tired. I just need to quit. And she says, Ovidilio, but you already speak some English. By now, it was already about a year and 2 months that I was in school. So I could already chop it up, say, how are you, and things like that. Ovidilio, you cannot do anything. You cannot. Why don't you do this, Ovi? Go home, sleep, and come back tomorrow. Right now, you're tired. I said, no, that's not what I want. I just want to get out. But I wanted to tell her before getting out, because I thought that if I would just get out and not go, I thought that I was going to get in trouble. Because my belief was that when you don't go to school, the police will come look for you to take you to school. So I went to tell her, like, I want to get out of school, but I don't want to get in trouble. And she told me, you cannot quit. You already speak some English. In 2 years, you will be graduating. And she convinced me to graduate. When I graduated in 2011, in June 7, I went to her office with my cap and gown, and I went and cried, like, oh, I'm sorry, I wanted to quit. Yeah, thank you for convincing me. And I did that. When my car was taken away, that I mentioned earlier at 3 a.m., I couldn't get it back because it was under my mom's name. And you can only get the car back if it's on your name. So I purchased another car, $700, Cavalier 95, all beat up car. And guess what? The car was so old. 2 days later, I ran out of gas, but the gasket didn't say that I actually was running out of gas. So the gasket didn't work. And I ran out of gas not knowing that I was running out of gas. So I pulled the car on the side and I walked to the nearest gas station. After calling the guy who sold me the car and say, hey, the car stopped. Was there anything wrong with it? I said, no, I'm not blaming you. I just want to know what's wrong with it so I can fix it. He says, did you put gas in the car? I said, no, it looks like it has half a tank. He said, no, it doesn't have half a tank. It doesn't move. I was like, gosh.
That's horrible.
That was crazy. I come back with a gallon of gasoline to my car. And when I get there, it was already on the towed machine, already hooked on it. And there was a police officer there, and he asked me, is this your vehicle, sir? I said, yes, officer, that's my car. He said, I checked the license plate, and this car is under a woman's name. I said, well, officer, I just bought it 2 days ago, so I haven't had a chance to transfer the name. He said, okay, what happened? I said, as you can see, I have gas here in my hand. I ran out of gas. I said, it was 2 a.m. that day. I remember 2 a.m. that day. He says, okay, do you have a driver license? And I was like, not again. And I couldn't produce the driver license. He towed my car, took it. But this time, I was able to take it out. Same day, they charged me like $342 to take it out. Same day, it was a Thursday. They took it out at 2 a.m. I went to take it out at 4 p.m. right after school. $300. Crazy. And, I was barely scraping everything I could to get by. And those were some of the tough times. My family would tell me that you are so dumb, you're going to school. My family, my mom got happier about me getting a job at Uber because I told her, it's a full-time job, full benefits. They're going to fly me out, payment. They're going to give me a credit card. I can spend it wherever I want. It literally said you could buy gum, whatever you want. My mom was happier about that than when I published my first book. But for me, it was more meaningful publishing my first book than getting that job. My family do not understand my career as a professional speaker. They had never ever heard of that. They have no clue what the heck that is. And they tell me, why would people pay you to speak? What the heck do you tell them? And I say, you wouldn't pay me to speak. That's why you're not my client. You don't understand the value of what I have, the knowledge I have in my head. I have processes, I have systems that I have discovered, that I have made up, that I have seen, that I have modeled, I said, ideas are life transforming, and people want me to share some of those ideas. But my family, they think I'm dumb because I am not working at a job like construction to make as much money as they think I would be making. But I said, let me put it this way, because it was one of my cousins who makes $52 an hour in construction. He said, let me put it this way, Juan. I said, you work 4 weeks, a whole month, to make $4,000 after taxes. And all I have to do is give one speech to make those $4,000. That's the difference. And so, but they still don't get it. And that's fine. It goes sometimes against your family's beliefs of what you should do, because in your heart, we know what we actually should do. I am most fulfilled when I'm speaking, and that's what I'm going to do.
I love that you shared that, because I've had that experience as well where, I explain to my family and they just never understand. A lot of people in technology, they have the same thing. But I think as an immigrant, I personally felt like it was a double thing, right? Because, am I going against my family to pursue my dreams? If I don't pursue my dreams, I'm going to feel horrible. So I'm glad that you shared, your experience, and that was a sick burn to your cousin.
Yeah,
But,
that was nice.
Yeah, so I'm so fascinated because it seems like you're just such a driven person. So what motivates you?
I'm deeply grateful to my mom. Even though she beat me up so bad when I was little, whenever I have my deepest moments, I call my mom. Whenever I have my happiest moments, I call my mom. And some people say, oh, so you're a mama's boy. I say, you must be kidding. I really want to make my mom proud for everything she did for me, for risking her life coming to the US. And on the other side, I want to be the most famous and the richest of my family. I have 11 uncles, so you can imagine how many cousins I have. And I want to be the richest and most famous of all of them. So that's my other, I have 2 drives. I want to make my mom proud, and I want to rub it on everyone else's face. Say like, I told you.
I love that. These are great motivations. So
yeah.
What do you feel like are advantages or disadvantages, or maybe you don't think there are, towards like Guatemalan immigrants or like Hispanic immigrants in general wanting to come to the US, establish their business, maybe be rich and famous like you one day? What do you think something that they can bring to the table that would be great for them, or something to watch out for if you think is a disadvantage?
Okay, as a Guatemalan, I am a minority within other minorities. And some of the other minorities tend to discriminate against the smaller minorities. I experienced that, especially when I was in San Francisco studying. And one big challenge that I sometimes face is the general picture of what Mexican people specifically have of Guatemalan people. You know, most Guatemalan peers that I know of, they behave in the wrong way. They dress like a suspect rather than a prospect, you know. They tend to do things that put my culture in a bad picture, in my culture. So when I introduce myself very proud, say, you know, I'm a farm boy from Sugarcane Fields in Guatemala. So I can put that other picture in people's face and say, wow, so Guatemalan people are actually well-dressed, well-spoken, and good-looking, you know? And of course, not everybody in Guatemala is a bad person. No, of course not. But a lot of the people that I have come across is like, for example, some of my family that lives here, I didn't like constructions because just talking trash, nothing good. They say that there are three types of minds. It was like the small mind talks about other people, and the average mind talks about things, and the great mind talk about ideas. Talk to me about ideas. But these other people, they just want to talk about other people. And I think that's called gossiping, you know, and I don't like that. So that's one challenge I face, that being prejudged just by saying that I'm from Guatemala, just prejudged. As far as business, I think it's easy because let's say you want to start a restaurant, there are a lot of people who would eat your food, right? And let's say you want information, there's a lot more information available in Spanish than there is in other languages besides English, for example, right? If you see a campaign on TV, you would most likely see it in English and Spanish than in other languages rather, right? So if I was Brazilian, I don't see really much Portuguese stuff going out there. And so I think that's a big advantage point. The other thing is that the market is already kind of open for Hispanics because there's tons of us. And the other thing is that we are a little bit familiar with the U.S. system because we are kind of neighbors to the U.S. Mexico, you know, you live in this house, you kind of already know what's going on in the house of your other neighbors, just like sometimes you're listening to whatever's going on. And it's kind of the same thing. So I'm not too far away from the U.S., so I already kind of had just an overall idea of what the U.S. was like. So that's an advantage. For a lot of countries, the disadvantage may be that, for example, my Afghanistan friends, not a lot of stuff available in their language. I think it was, I forget what their language is in Afghanistan, but Farsi, that's what it was, Farsi. So that's maybe one of the disadvantages. And however, you know, those guys save a lot of money. I know a lot of pizza owners who own like freaking 20 pizzerias and things like that. So, feed America, dude. That's how you're going to make your money. Let's see. What else would be some advantages and disadvantages? I think the networking. The networking is a huge advantage, for example, as a Hispanic. Because there's already like, you would see Hispanic Chamber of Commerce almost in each city of the U.S. So that's a huge advantage as a Hispanic. Since I am not, for example, since I am not Asian, I don't look for Asian Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, so I'm not aware of how many there are. However, I'm aware that there are tons of Hispanic ones. And so that may be a huge advantage. And then all it takes is for you to get off of your chair and go talk to people and go get that information. That's what I think.
That's great. So for those of us watching, maybe we're not as handsome as you, we're not as charismatic as you. How can we be confident like you? Because, you know, you just come straight out of the box. You don't have the traditional qualifications, and yet you're so like, you know, this is just what I do. So how did you develop your confidence?
Okay, that's an awesome question. Since I was little, they used to have stage in school, and this was a poor school. No electricity there. You would take out the water with a bucket from the what do you call the hole on the ground? Well. Poor school, but we had stage, and we would always celebrate Mother's Day, Father's Day. There's a day dedicated to kids, and there's a day for Independence Day. And I would always love to go on stage and perform, because I found out that if I was on stage, I could be seen by more people. And if I could be seen by more people, I could make more friends. So I did not think about building confidence then, but it was coming as a second nature that I already liked to be in front of people, because I realized that it helped me make friends. That's my only thought. I want to make more friends. I want to be in front so I can be seen by more people and have more options, they say, right? That even works for the girls too. So, because more would see me and more would be like, oh, I like that guy. Or, no, I don't like that guy. Self-development when I was in Amway I became conscious of the self-development, which helped me build that confidence. When I could say, okay, so I'm building my confidence, I was aware, building confidence. And by dressing good, dressing nice, you can already perceive that other people will give you that a little extra respect just by dressing nice. You don't have to even open your mouth. So I figured that out, and I was like, okay, I'm going to dress nice from now on. And then I went to Toastmasters Internationals to improve my public speaking skills, because when I speak from the heart. I never write my speech, ever. I could not do it. I just could not. If I write my speech, I would fail that same day. Probably never would want to do it again. Never write my speech. So I speak from the heart, and I just structure it in a way like, you know, main point, 3 more points, conclusion, and I'm done. However, in the middle, I just trust my instinct that things will come to my head to make it funny. Yesterday, I gave a presentation in San Francisco, 30 minutes speech, and I make them laugh about 8 times in that 30-minute speech. Did not plan where I was gonna do the laughing. It just, I'm a natural, like they say, like, you know how they say, you're just a natural. I discovered that I'm a natural. Here's how I discovered that I was natural. One day I was gonna go and give speech, and I had just been so busy that I didn't have any time to prepare at all. Now, 1 second, I didn't even write down like what I was going to say. Nothing. Since I had already listened to so many self-development books that says, you know, you got to trust in yourself, believe in yourself, believe that it's going to come to you. So I had a little self-talk. And I said, okay, Ovidilio, this is the test. If you are really a natural, this speech is gonna go fantastic with no preparation whatsoever. And I just mean no immediate preparation, right? Because since I had given so many speeches, that's like your long-term preparation, but no immediate preparation for that speech. So I delivered the speech. Everyone blown away, but I was more blown away. I said, okay, this is a confirmation. I am a natural at this. So that boosted my own confidence too. The networking part helped me boost my confidence because you become like the people you hang out with, right? So you're a very confident person. You've even had a TED Talk and all of that stuff. And I'm like, man, you know, I'm talking to Lynn right now. Trust me, right now, I may not be feeling it right in my heart. But subconsciously, I know that this is boosting my confidence because I'm hanging out with someone who's making things happen, who's kicking ass, making it big time, coaching other people, helping people get $100,000 career. That's huge money for other people to get. So it comes to me naturally that I trust the process. Even though I'm not very big on religion, I do trust that the higher power would give me what I need when I need it at the time of the speech. And to this day, at least over 100 speeches that I have given, I have never failed in one speech. And I know that every speaker sometime will fail. So I can't wait to see that one for sure, to see what happens. But that's it. So, in a summary, I dress well, I practice at Toastmasters, and I work with people. I tested myself. And when I saw that I passed that test, I said, okay, I can do this. Here's when I didn't have much confidence. Before 2016, I had broken tooth. So these tooth right here, these two, they were broken. They were like halfway. And so I will smile and people will laugh. So now, that I fixed them and they look nice, that just really helped me big time too. It wasn't really a concern because I broke my teeth when I was 11 years old when I fell the stairs. At the beginning, it was a huge concern, but then I just got used to just having those teeth like that. Just they were broken halfway. You could see that halfway. I would laugh, and it was just like I said. I would smile, and people would laugh. So like, what the heck happened to you, dude? And then I would have to tell the story, right, to make up for that little uncomfortable moment for myself. But when I fixed my teeth, so now I made sure I have insurance to go to a dentist. I made sure I go to the dentist at least once every 6 months. Make sure my teeth are good to go and things like that. But that really did boost my confidence too. And I didn't realize it until now that I think about it. That really did a lot for me. Yeah.
I love that. It's just so much good energy coming from you, and just like so many. I hope everyone's taking notes because I'm going to transcribe this. Take notes. And your YouTube channel is just so amazing. And I'm not surprised that you're undefeated. Like, you're like the Floyd Mayweather of speeches.
Yeah, I'm making it happen.
Yeah, so,
let me share this with you, Lynn. There's a speaker. His name is Rene Godefroy. He is an immigrant also. He inspired me a lot as I'm being an immigrant because he's a speaker. And he used to be a doorman at a hotel. And he says, I was a doorman. I was not a dumb man. And as a speaker, he inspired me as an immigrant speaker. Of course, there are other speakers who have made huge impact on my life, like Victor Antonio, another Hispanic speaker who was not an immigrant. But he came to Santa Clara and he said, hey, Ovi, I'm in Santa Clara. You want to meet with me? I said, dude, do I want to? And yeah, big time. But those are some of the people. If you can find someone who has almost the exact same story as you, even if they're not from the same country, it would really hit home like it did for me with Rene Godefroy. Yeah.
And that's why I'm so glad you're here, because I know there's going to be like hundreds or thousands, hopefully millions. Let's see how this.
We're going to make this go viral. I have a software here that could hopefully help us with this.
Love that. So, wow, thank you so much for sharing with you. And I think we're all just like, oh my God, how can we work? How can we be around you? So can you tell us how we can find you?
Yes, of course. A lot of people have not yet realized that public speaking plays a huge role into building the self-confidence that then plays a huge role into building that leadership so that we can be promoted at our workplace, so that we can be hired or be magnet to other people to want to do business with us. So, I offer people the opportunity to work with me specifically on public speaking skills to help them improve that. But for those who have an accent, over 90% of the population in the world would rather die than stand in front of someone and speak. So imagine those who have an accent, sometimes they are 3 or 4 times more concerned about that accent and speaking in public. So I said, I'm going to design a course specifically for those like myself who have an accent that want to boost that self-confidence so they can be seen as someone with more potential and make that a career growth for themselves. So if they would go to prokeynote.com, they would be able to see 3 tips that I share for free, absolutely free. And they would be able to see exactly the things I do to prepare myself, not only to know my content every single time I'm going to step on stage and speak in front of people, whether it's 5 people, whether it's 300 people, they're going to know the exact same way I do to be able to leverage the stage when I'm on stage. And 3, there's a bonus on there that they will be able to see. So I highly encourage for them to go check it out, be able to see what that bonus is. And it's totally free. So it's prokeynote.com. So you can become like a professional keynote speaker, something like that. So prokeynote.com. That's the one you'll have opportunity to get that information for free. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this. I think your audience is just going to go, it's going to go like gangbusters. So is there anything else you want to share with our audience that you want them to know?
Well, what I want you to know, guys, is, the struggle is real sometimes. Let's face it, man. This life is not easy. I had so many struggles, and I shared just a few of them with you through this interview. I didn't share all of them because we only have so much time. So it's very important for us to be always learning from a person who's doing the things that they love, so that you learn the strategies of how they do it, so you do the things that you love. So highly encourage you to continue learning from Lee Lin, because she is definitely a person who I personally look up to. I've been sending her private messages saying, Lin, you're so inspirational. You're a rock star. It's tremendous what kind of magic happens in your life when someone can inspire you just by they sharing a post. Because I've seen Lin, sharing posts on LinkedIn like, I thought I was doing this, but here are the things I learned, here are things I did, here are things I plan to do. Or on Facebook sometimes, being that you have started the group Successful Immigrant CEO program, it's tremendous to see the growth in someone. And the reason why I advise to learn from people like Lee, from people like myself, from other people too, is because we know what it takes. Even if you're an immigrant, even if you have an accent, even if you don't have or started with connections, we know what that is like. And we always open up our heart more to be able to help you and you be more successful yourself. The more successful you become, the more it will also help us prove our success, because it means that our systems work. So just trust that we have your best interest in mind. So I'll continue to learn from Lillian, and we will definitely be in touch, and we'll see you at the top.
Awesome. So thank you so much. This has been, I know I'm not supposed to pick favorites, but like such powerful stuff. Thank you so much, Ovidilio. Remember to grab his gift for you. Click down below. It'll be on the show notes and also in the descriptions. Thank you so much, Ovidilio, and hope to have you on many episodes to come.
Let's do it.